picture awakens memory. I think Simone Weil looks beautiful on the cover of Waiting for God, dressed in her proletarian coveralls, CNT stitched over the right breast. The contradictions of the last century that found a French Jewish woman turned Catholic mystic in the Spanish Civil War wearing the anarchist uniform. At a banquet in suburban Toronto, I meet Canadian veterans of the Mackenzie-Papineau Brigade, who went to Spain in '36 to risk themselves, to defend the Spanish Republic against fascism. They were old men, old enough to be my grandfather, and I cried as they were introduced, and shaky hands signed my book, A History of the MacPaps. And I saw faces that said to me they couldn't believe a young man they didn't know saw them as heroes. This one's called November River, not November Rain. Because nothing ever lasts forever. November on the river is gray, but Christmas will come again. Jesus will be born again. Presents will be given. The future is writing dirty words on clean sheets, and I've got a printing press and ancient crinkled pages. There is no ice, so you cannot walk on the water this year. The water is cold, but it flows, and your love is not landlocked. You copy pages out of the Bible to see if you have the nerve to change anything that has been written. And your thoughts chase each other in the evening gloom, but they come back when they are called. You have them well trained. This is called Mall. I grew up in suburbs, so I worked in a few malls. And I trying to do a series of poems based on working in malls. But spending a fair amount of time there. And this is called Mall Number 1. For them you will always be the cool guy who worked at the clothing store, forever a picture in their hearts. And you wonder if concrete and glass feel the emotional moments of the courtships in the food court, season's greetings on the endless Christmas loop. And do we come here because we want to or because we must? Nobody needs to know who or what we are looking for, and nobody needs to cry. We went for a drive with the windows wide open, and I remarked upon that punctuation thing you do with your hands, and we ended up back at your place. And I remember them saying, things might be better if you tidied up before we came over. Don't think it would hurt you to make a bit of an effort. And I remember one time when I wanted to do something, and they said, if your friend jumped off a bridge, would you? And later, when you did, I was able to tell them no. I feared heights, you the future. This is called We Need a New, and it references Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who was a Lutheran minister who was hung by the Nazis for resisting, and then he led the confessing church. And it's also references Dr. Martin Luther King, so I think it's self-explanatory. I saw your post. You said, we need a new king, a new Bonhoeffer. Why did you do that? Just post. Do you believe our times need something better? I saw your post. Is that the thing you wanted to say? All that you have to say? Are we only brave online? I guess if you posted the position, you assume that someone else will take it, but not you. I assume you are not suggesting ourselves, and I'm asking because I want to know for myself. Am I only brave behind a screen, casting jokes, sending critiques out to my assembled audience? And we wondered once if we would have an audience, and now we have one designed for us. But what can it do? If we are not going to, it must do something. It must stand tall in the face of fear. It must be remembered that as ridiculous as tyrants seem, broken from the norms, they can still conjure fear. And buffoons can still command armies, and clowns can have sycophants. Up against the face of power, pain, and fear, the decent can still be made to crawl, and the holy to curse. Your call is for a new king, a new Bonhoeffer, too, who stood up to live more fully, who stood up to die, who stood up like the one they followed, who stood up to give abundant life in the face of power, pain, and fear. who stood up to die. Thank you.